Hey everyone, today we're going to be cash stuffing some money from our second paycheck in July into some sinking funds and savings challenges. Welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Laura. I'm a teacher, a mom, a budgeter. We use a zero-based budgeting system, sinking funds and savings challenges to help us stay on track with our finances and to help us reach our financial goals. I also primarily use prop money in my budgeting system. So if these are things that interest you, definitely hit that subscribe button down below because I'd love to have you along on this journey with me. Hello. Today we're doing something a little bit different here today. We're going to be cash stuffing the money from our second paycheck into July into some different sinking funds and savings challenges. As you see here, I have 4 different bundles of money here. Each bundle here is designated to a different account that we have transferred money into to go ahead and cash stuff. And then the first bundle here is actually the money in real cash, the only money that we cash stuff in real cash. And the rest is prop money into those other accounts. As I've mentioned before, we are a 2-income family and we use primarily 3 different banks. So one bank we primarily use for our fixed expenses, and we have a checking account and a savings account that we use with that particular bank. And then we work with another bank with the same situation where we have a checking account and a savings account. That's the bank that we primarily use for variable expenses. And it's great to be able to have those separate savings accounts from those checking accounts so that we can continue to put money away and save. And those are primarily used for short-term goals. And then we have our high yield savings account, which gets money from both of those banks, and we go ahead and transfer this into more long-term savings that we have. So that's why we have 4 different bundles here. We've got our money in cash that we're going to cash stuff. These are the 2 short-term savings accounts that we have connected to those checking accounts with those 2 separate banks. And then we have our high yield savings account here as well. So we're going to go ahead and do this separately here. And this is how I've never filmed a cash stuffing like this before, but this is the process that I've always gone through with my budgeting systems. So we have this small amount of money that we do save in cash. So every time that we go ahead and work on our budget, we do set aside a small amount of cash. We have $175 here to go ahead and cash stuff into different variable categories, as well as for our letterbox challenges. So we should have, I've got all my little sheets here that tell me how much we should have in the denominations. I use a Google Sheets spreadsheet and everything is done for me. I just kind of input the numbers and I can play with the numbers. I love it. And I have it set up here to create these little sheets here for me to know my denominations and my totals. So we should have $175 here in cash. Let's go ahead and give it a count. Make sure we do. We've got 20, 40, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then we should have 21s here. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, and 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, and 75. So as I mentioned, we do primarily just work with digital budgeting and then our prop money that represents the cash stuffing that we would like to do. So we know how much is in different sinking funds that we like to designate, but there is this amount of cash that we do use for some different variable envelopes that we'll go ahead and show here. All right, so we have our 2 green binders here that we use, and one of the binders here is for those variable categories that we do like to save a small amount of cash for. So this binder, again, primarily is for some variable categories that we do like to save some real cash for, and first off is household. So we're going to save $30, and that gets 3 tens here that goes into our household envelope. And then our next category here is fun, and we're going to go ahead and add a $5 bill into our fun envelope here, and now fun just has $10 here. So again, we use primarily just digital budgeting tools, and I like to use prop money with our budgeting as well, but it is nice to have just some cash on hand too for some of these categories as well. Our girls category is going to go ahead and get $5 here too, and that gives it $10. So there's just some scenarios where it's just nice to just have, some real cash on hand for different things, especially if our kids are going somewhere, they need money for concessions or things like that. The biggest chunk of money here does go to our pets envelope because we do pay our groomer in cash. That's what they prefer, and so we do try to do that for them. Our pets envelope here is going to get $50, and we're going to do that in 2 20s and a 10. So now our grooming envelope here, which is our pets envelope, but it's used for grooming, has 50, 100, 20, 40, 50, and 55. So 155. So our pups get groomed every couple of months. They do their nails and clean their ears and all of the things. And again, our groomer prefers cash as payment, and so we like to be able to accommodate that. And then we have our miscellaneous envelope here, which is going to go ahead and get a $5 bill as well. So we got 5, 10, and 15 now in our miscellaneous envelope. And then that takes us here to giving. So our giving envelope also is going to get $5. Primarily everything gets $5, as you're noticing, 5, 10, and 15. And again, it's just nice to have some real cash on hand for some of these things. Sometimes we have like neighborhood kids that come over and they're selling different items for fundraising. And so it's nice to have that cash on hand to be able to support them. And then we've got our school envelope here also getting $5, 5, 10, 15, and 20 now. This one has been accumulating here a little bit because we haven't had any activities going on with school over the past couple of months with summer. And next up here, we've got sports and activities. Again, also getting a $5 bill. We got 5, 10, 15, and 20 now in sports and activities. This one is accumulating here as well. And then celebrations and gifts, we're going to go ahead and give $5 to this one as well. And that gives it, money flying around. Celebrations and gifts now has 5, 10, and 15. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. And moving on to holidays and birthdays. So these are almost all of our variable categories that we use. Holidays and birthdays is also going to get $5, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Not all of our categories. You'll see things like groceries, of course, is missing. We just do that all digitally with prop money and do not use anything in real cash. So holidays and birthdays is done. Travel, we're not stuffing. We only do that if we have something on the horizon. And our variable cash cushion here, or cash buffer, is also going to get $5, 5, 10, and 15 now is what it has. And you'll see we do have a little bit of money left over here. And so what we've got a 20 and a 10 here. So this 20 and 10 goes to my husband and myself. We just like to also have some real cash on hand. He gets the 20, I get the 10. We actually have the same budgeted amount for what we spend in our personal variable categories. He just prefers a little bit more of real cash, and I just prefer more of it to be in the account. So we'll go ahead and put that off to the side because we'll put those into our wallets. And then we've got our $21 bills. And that's going to go ahead into our letterbox binder that will cash stuff at another time. My letterbox challenges are available in my Etsy shop if you are interested. Each dollar bill is designated with a letter on it that associates it to the city in which it is printed. And we just go through each of the letters and track them on the trackers. And when we fill one up to $25, we go ahead and put that money back into the bank and then send it over to our high yield savings account to be able to either put it in a designated category or to randomize it. And I love having just this little amount of money that is saved that continues to grow over time that we can then continue to save for longer term goals. So that's going to do it here for these green binders and the money that we save in real cash. And now we move on to all of our prop cash money. So as I mentioned, we do primarily use prop money in our budgeting systems. We do just have that allotted amount each pay period that we do save in real cash. We have 3 different stacks of prop money here because they are dedicated to the 3 different banks that we use, and we like to have this prop money to represent the different sinking funds that we have associated to it. So we have our blue binder, our savings account here, that we transfer from our checking to our savings for different categories. We do the same thing with our red binder here. Again, we have a checking and a savings account. We transfer that money from the checking into the savings for some short-term goals. And then we have our high yield, and this high yield money does come from both banks that we primarily work with that we then kind of funnel into the one high yield. So we're going to go ahead and start with our blue binders here. Now our blue binder here is not new. You have seen that on our Mini Mondays video. We should have $177 here to be able to cash stuff into sinking funds and then some savings challenges. Let's give it a count. We've got 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 150, 160, 65, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, and 77. So we've got our 177 that we thought we should have. And again, I use a Google spreadsheet that helps me to plan and be able to finagle different numbers here and there. And then I also have it set up to create these little denomination papers here for me too, which I absolutely love. So let's grab our blue binder here and get this ready to go. So the cash stuffing that we're doing here is really like our non-negotiables, the things that we cash stuff with every single paycheck, because it is either timely, where we know we need to have a certain amount of money on a certain date, and so we have it broken down so we know how much to save each pay period. And so they're kind of like, I call them the non-negotiables. And then we'll also stuff some money for like our mini Monday challenges here as well. So first off here we have subscriptions, and subscriptions is going to go ahead and get $23, and this is what it gets every single pay period, because again, we figured out how much we need for subscriptions for the year, and then we divide it by our pay period so we know how much each pay period to go ahead and save. So now subscriptions has 100, 50, 70, 90, 210, 215, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So 221 in subscriptions. So this is different subscriptions that is connected to this particular account, but we love to have this money separate from our checking account and put into our savings account so that we can keep track of it and then have it ready when those subscription payments do come up. Next up is our Amazon subscriptions envelope. Kind of same concept here. This is just specific to Amazon. So we've got $26 going into our Amazon subscriptions here. So we'll put that in. And again, these are things that it could be grocery items, could be household items, kind of various things, but it's just connected again to those Amazon subscriptions that come out maybe every 3 months, every 4 months, every 6 months, or whatever it is. But we've just figured out how much we need for the year to cover those different subscriptions and then stuff the amount of money each pay period. So now Amazon subscriptions has 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150, 55, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, and 66. So we have 166 now in our Amazon subscriptions envelope. Again, I just love having this separate, and even just the separate envelopes here, subscriptions versus Amazon subscriptions. It's just nice to know that we are covered for when those things do come out. So if it's a household item, for example, and it's, a greater amount because it's a stock up, it's not breaking our household budgeted amount for the pay period, because we can use the sinking fund to be able to offset that cost. And next up is our Chewy. So this is for our pets here, and this is going to get $23. And this is primarily used for Chewy items that we get on a 3 to 4 month basis. So we do get a Chewy box every month for just their primary daily food that we use. And then we do have some supplements and things like that that are more on a longer term subscription. So again, like more 3-4 months. And so we use this money to be able to cover those costs. So now our Chewy envelope has 20, 40, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, and 72. And I do believe one of the supplements that we have for our pup is coming up, and so we'll be able to use this money to then transfer over so it helps our pets category in our variable spending so that we're not breaking that budget. And our next category here that's considered a non-negotiable is our haircuts, which is going to go ahead and get 30. We have this envelope here dedicated to haircuts because we have 3 girls in our household that have very thick and curly hair, and so this is something that is very important and non-negotiable to be able to manage that. So we have now 100, 50, 70, 90, 210, 230, 240, 250, 260, 270, 280, 81, 82, 83, 84. So 284 now in our haircuts. Sometimes I have it haircuts and beauty, because sometimes if there's a special event and we're getting nails done and things like that, we can use this money for it as well. But again, this then helps our health and beauty variable category for the pay period, so that when that haircut, which is a greater expense, comes up, we don't have to break that budget that we have for the month for health and beauty, but we can go ahead and use this sinking fund to be able to cover that and be prepared. And the last envelope in here is going to be our holidays. There it is, holidays and birthdays. We do like to give this a little bit of money every pay period as well. And we just kind of changed this one up here a little bit, but this will now be able to cover the reoccurring birthdays and things that we have coming up that we need to buy gifts for. So now we have 10, 20, 25, and 30 in this envelope. And now that should leave us with $60, and yes, it does, and that's going to go ahead into our Mini Mondays. So our Mini Mondays binder here is going to go ahead and get that last $60. We'll go ahead and put that in here. This is the envelope that I use to just kind of collect the money. We do transfer it into our savings account each pay period. So even if I miss a week of playing Mini Mondays game, that money still goes there. And I did miss last Monday. I'll talk about that in an upcoming video. It was a crazy few days. So I do have quite a bit of money here in my Mini Mondays envelope because it's been accumulating from some Mondays that I've missed. So now Mini Mondays has 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 140, and 150. I tend to play with $30 a week, but because I have a bit of a surplus here, I'll probably be upping that to then account for those Mini Monday days that I missed. So that is great. I'm excited about that. And that's going to do it for our blue binders. So our red binders will be coming in here next. So it's the same idea here with our red binder. Again, this is a different bank, different from the blue binders, and we have that checking account and a savings account, and we go ahead and shift money into that savings account for some short-term goals. We should have $461 here for this particular binder. Let's give it a count. We've got 1, 2, 250, 270, 290, 310, 330, 350, 370, 390, 410, 430, 440, 45, 50, 55, 60, and 61. So 461 is what we have. And again, same idea. These are short-term sinking funds for this bank that has the checking account and a savings account. We just love to shift this money over into that savings for those short-term goals. So very similar to our blue binder here, we've got our subscriptions and memberships that is going to get 46. So these are things that, again, are like annual memberships and subscriptions that do pop up that we know they're coming out of this account. So we want to be prepared for them when they pop up. So we'll go ahead and add our $46 in here. Now we have 100, 200, 300, 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 95, 400, yep, 400, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So 421 is what we have. This definitely houses more expensive subscriptions and memberships that we have, like Costco, that will be coming out shortly. And next up here, we've got our garbage envelope. Again, these are more like fixed expenses and things that we have connected to this account. So our garbage comes out every 4 months. And so we do like to save a little bit each pay period so that we can make that quick transfer into our checking account when that garbage bill comes out. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 55, 56, 57, and $58 now in our garbage envelope, which is great. That also kind of tells me, since we have this amount, that it's probably coming up here to be due. We also have an electric envelope here for our year-end adjustment. So we are on a comfort billing plan, which is lovely. At the end of the year, though, when they do that adjustment, sometimes we find out that we owe a little bit more than what we had paid with the comfort billing. So we like to save a little bit to be prepared for that at the end of the year. So now we have 100, 20, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 66, and 67. This is a huge envelope for us because it always is around the holiday time as well that year-end adjustment comes out. And so it's great to be able to have this envelope and be prepared for that if we do have to cover an overage. And then we have a gas envelope here. This is specifically for the winter season. That gets $20 here. We are not on a comfort billing plan with our gas, but we just budget the same amount each month. During the winter season, when that gas bill is usually higher than what we had budgeted, we love to be able to use the sinking fund to offset that. So now we have 120, 40, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90, 91, 92, 93, and 94. So we have 194 here. And again, it is summertime, so all of this money is accumulating. We do like to sometimes try to take that extra money that we didn't use in our budgeted amount as well, because typically we're under budget for our gas in this account, and we'll go ahead and add this to that envelope as well to continue to build that and have that money to offset when we are over. Next up here is pest control, and that is getting $40 here. This is one of those things that does happen every 4 months or so. So now pest control has 120, 40, 60, 80, 220, 40, 60, 70, 71. So 271 in our pest control envelope here. So you'll notice a lot of these categories are definitely more like fixed expenses too, how we have it set up. And then lawn service here is going to get 20. We did just pay a lawn service bill, so now we are adding and starting over here. We have 40 total. Car maintenance is going to get some money here, and that is going to be $20 as well. These are things for like oil changes that come up every couple months or so, not major repairs or anything. We have another high yield sinking fund that we like to use that for, but this is more for general maintenance. And then lastly, we're going to go all the way to the back here to an envelope. And we're going to go to this empty envelope that does not have a label because it is a temporary envelope, but it's going to get $250. Yes, a big chunk of money here. This is going to an extra car payment that we are making each month. We are working really hard to pay off our car. Our timeline for our car is set to be paid off in the fall of 2026, but we are working really hard sending extra money to that principal of our car payment so we can have it paid off much earlier. So we are trying to make a $500 payment every month here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 450, and 5. We have that 500 here. We're taking money each pay period to be able to make that payment. And again, it just gets transferred into the savings account that's connected to our checking account. So it's a very quick transfer. It doesn't make sense for it to go to the high yield where it takes those days and the time for it to complete. But by getting it out of our checking account, it is gone. It's away. We're not tempted to spend it. And then when we're ready to make that payment at the end of the month, we just shift it over. It's immediate and we can make that extra car payment. So that is really exciting that we have that there to be able to do at the end of the month. And that leaves us with $50. Yes, it does, because that $50 goes to Freebie Fridays. So we've got our Freebie Friday binder here, just like we have our Mini Monday binder. We're going to go ahead and add our $50 here. Again, we put this money in every pay period. Sometimes we miss a Friday here or there for our Freebie Fridays, but that money always stays. So sometimes it accumulates a little bit. We've got $20, $40, $60, $80, $85, $90, and $95 here in our Freebie Fridays. I do always like to be at least a week ahead in our Freebie Friday envelope so that if I'm not able to cash stuff, I can still go ahead and complete Freebie Fridays on that day. So that's really great to be able to be a little ahead there. All right, and that's going to do it for our red binders. So our short-term sinking funds with our blue binder and red binders are done. And now we'll switch over to the high yield. For our high yield savings account, again, we've got money here that is designated from each of our banks that we've transferred over into the high yield. We should have $1,086 here. We're going to cash stuff this money into our non-negotiable sinking funds that we have set up, as well as a few savings challenges as well. Let's go ahead and double check that we have $1,086. We've got $500, $600, $700, $750, $800, $850, $870, $890, $910, $930, $950, $970, $990, $1,010, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $75, $80, $81, $82, $83, $84, $85, and $86. So we do in fact have our $1,086 that we should have. And again, this is money that gets pulled from both of those banks. We have, again, that one paycheck that goes to one bank that's primarily used for fixed expenses. And then we transfer some money into those short-term goals. And then we have our other bank that's primarily used for variable expenses. And we transfer some into those short-term sinking funds and then the rest into our high yield. So let's go ahead and start here. We're going to begin with our 2025 challenge. So this is something that I've been working on through the year. It is a challenge that is in my Etsy shop. If you are interested, I know we're already halfway through the year, but we're going to go ahead and stuff $85 into this. This typically becomes our Christmas money at the end of the year. So 50, 60, 70, 80, and 85. So I love this challenge because it is set amount. So every pay period, we add the designated amount to be able to accumulate. I would love to get to a point where we didn't need to use this for Christmas and we were able to use it for, other goals that we might have, maybe an emergency fund. But for right now, it is being used primarily for Christmas. Now, I am using all of my monthly Christmas and July challenges for Christmas too. So hopefully not all of this 2025 will be used for Christmas, and then we can actually randomize it or put it towards another goal. So we just added another 85 here. And oh my goodness, you know what? It looks like we actually have done all of our 85s. So I'm going to have to adjust that and go ahead and change my budgeted amount to 84. So we're actually $1 ahead here in this challenge, which I did not realize that when I had created my budget, but I'll go ahead and reflect that for the next pay period. So we are $1 ahead. I might mark that and put a little 5 on there so I know that we are a little ahead here on this one. So we put 85. And then next week we'll do an 83, and then that will be that will go ahead and offset that. So now this challenge has 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 175, 180, 185, 186. So 1,186 is what we have. So we are over that halfway point, which we should be, and we'll continue this for the end of the year. And again, primarily it gets used to fund our Christmas spending, but with Christmas in July this year, maybe we can actually designate this to something else at the end of the year. So that's really exciting. So that's it for this binder, our big one here. Let's go ahead to some of our others that we have. All of our black binders does have the prop money that is representative of what is in our high yield savings account. So we're going to go ahead and add some money into our monthly challenges here. So we've got our Christmas in July theme that is happening right now. We're going to go ahead and add $100 into our monthly challenge envelope. I then do break this when I go ahead and stuff those monthly challenges, but we now have 120 and 30 that we'll be able to play with for our monthly challenges with our Christmas in July theme. So that is exciting. Oh, I did this a little bit out of order here, but we're going to go ahead and add some money into our tinies as well. So we have $60, 20, 40, 60. That's going to go into our tinies envelope here too. I am so excited to bring tinies back. They are coming. I've been adding some money into this envelope here that just kind of collects, and we'll be able to play with this with our tinies too. So now our tinies envelope to be able to play with those challenges has 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and an even 100. So that is exciting. Tinies are coming back, y'all. I still have them sitting here from where I left off. We're going to bring them back, and we've been adding some money into that envelope to be able to play. And then lastly here for savings challenges, I am going to add just $2 here into our collabs envelope here as well. I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but our group plays in collabs is going to get $2. It was just kind of our last remaining $2, and I knew I had some money in here already to play with, so it didn't need a normal amount this time. So now we have 20, 40, 60, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, and $73 now to go ahead and use for group plays and collabs, and that is really exciting. And now we get to the things that are not as much fun. I mean, the savings challenges are fantastic, but now we get into more of those non-negotiables that have to be stuffed every pay period because there's typically deadlines associated to them, and we want to make sure that we are prepared. So starting off here with the dreaded property taxes. Ugh, we actually are putting $650 in here. We put a designated amount each pay period. It is different per pay period because of other fixed expenses that we have within those pay periods, but this time it is getting $650. Again, non-negotiable because that bill is coming. We pay this outright and do not have an escrow, so we have to be prepared when that bill comes. So now our property tax envelope has $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $500, $600, $700, $20, $30, $40, $50, $55, $60, $61, $62, $63, and $64. So $4,000, what was it? I kind of lost track here. $4,764, I think is what it was. So that is great to keep us on track with our property tax payment that will be coming up. And if you haven't seen my binders here that I use for our high yield savings account, again, everything is prop money here. The prop money is just representative of what is in our high yield savings account. And we have different categories in our high yield. For example, we have a taxes category, but I do like to have the separate envelopes within each category to know the breakdown. So we have an April 15th taxes envelope, and then our property taxes, and then we have a family category. So when I go into our high yield, I'll see the amount that we have within the family category, but I love to see the actual breakdown of the different envelopes to be able to know what we have for each of those sinking funds. So moving into family here now, we've got our savings challenge that we use. The savings that we do here in this category is primarily really for our daughters. So I use a Save Your Age savings challenge. This can be found in my Etsy account as well, TeacherMomBudgets. It goes through all the way from birth through 18, and I believe even to age 21, where you save your child's age each week. And because I stuff twice a month, I go ahead and fill out 2 of these circles each pay period. So we have this one for our daughter here, so she's going to get get $30. She is 15, and we go ahead and stuff 2 of them each time. So we just circle in 2 of these bubbles here, color in 2 of these bubbles here to add the $30. This is a great savings for kids. Now, this is something that we haven't always been super consistent with, but we have recently, and that's something that we're really proud of. If you do follow it through from birth, where you save $1 a week, and then when they're 1 year old, it's also $1 a week. When they're 2 years old, it's $2 a week, and then all the way to 18, I think the total savings is like over $8,000. And then I do also have the trackers, I believe, that go up until 21. This is savings for our kids that we'll use for their future, whatever that may entail. This is not in replacement of a 529. We do have a 529 for each of them as well. This is just additional savings. And again, something we haven't been totally consistent with. We had some really tighter years when they were younger, or just some inconsistencies in just being able to budget. But recently we've been able to do really well with this, and that makes us really proud. I also choose not to count the total of this as well. So then we have our next challenge, or Save Your Age challenge, for our other daughter here who is 13, and we'll be having a birthday soon. So we'll be adding $26 here to this one as well. Again, we color in and add 2 each pay period. It's set up to be weekly, but we cash stuff twice a month. So we go ahead and fill out 2 each time, and we'll go ahead and add that one in here. So that is great to continue that on. So I do have their current age tracker, and then I also have some of the trackers that we never completed that we're also just trying to, when we can, add a little extra money. So maybe it's the 5-year-old one, and so when we can, if we can add another $5, we try to go ahead and catch up on those ones. Will we be able to catch up fully? I don't know. We'll see. It's just something that we are excited to continue to work on, to have this savings for our kids. And moving right along to our pets category, we've got vet visits, which is another non-negotiable that is going to get $60 here. And this is to cover those annual vet visits. Our one pup, as one of them is shaking it out back there, did just go for their visit, and we have our other one that has their visit coming up here in July. So now Vet Visits has 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 550, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. So $595, plenty to cover that vet visit coming up. And then when we have extra, so after both pups have their visits done here over the summer, and if we have extra here, sometimes we let it sit and just kind of roll over into the next year for annual vet visits, or sometimes we'll shift it over into our pet emergency fund to continue to build that up as well. And then that takes us into our education category. School registration fees is a non-negotiable that is getting $21 here. And this is for those yearly registration fees that pop up. So now we have 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. So these are all the things that I do not use savings challenges for, or maybe savings challenges help to give it a little bit of a boost. But these are the things that, again, are my non-negotiables. They have to get their money every pay period because there are deadlines associated with them, and then we want to make sure that we are prepared and ready. Okay, that binder is complete. Let's go ahead on to our holidays binder, and we have a little bit of money going into here. We've got it going into N's birthday here. We're going to go ahead and add $12, just a little bit here, into this envelope. I believe we used a savings challenge at the end of June for this one. We've got 10, 20, 25, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, and 46. So $46 now for that upcoming birthday here. We'll keep adding to that as we can. And then we've got our home category. HOA fees is going to get its $20. We just actually paid our HOA fees, so we're really starting over with this one for the next payment that will be coming up in 6 months. So now it has 40. And lastly here, we've got one more binder that has a couple other categories, and vehicles is going to get the last $20 here for registration renewals. Again, one of those non-negotiables, got to get the money every pay period. Now registration renewals has 150, 70, 90, 210, 230, 235. So that is great, continuing to build. So that's going to do it here for my cash stuffing for our second paycheck of July. I hope this was helpful here to see. I love using savings challenges, but this is a huge part of my process as well, to be able to cash stuff what we can for what we consider those non-negotiables. It's got to get its money every pay period, so we are prepared and ready and not waiting on the variability of savings challenges that may or not be enough when the time comes. So I love being able to have this great blend of cash stuffing what we need, but then also using savings challenges to help save for other things that we would like to save for also. If you haven't yet subscribed here, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would do so. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up like button and leave me a comment down below as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great week.